Welcome to the Introduction to Transfer Pricing. Today's topic is adjustments, and it's a further video in our series on adjustments. And today we're going to be talking about an adjustment to accounts payable, and this time how it's different if you're using the profit level indicator of the Net Cost Plus Markup. Welcome back to our videos about adjustments for accounts payable. Now, we've already talked through this equation and you've seen it in an earlier video, but I want to use this as a starting off point to talk about how would this be different in the following situation. What if we are not adjusting the operating margin, but we were to be adjusting the net cost plus markup? And this is going to apply in a few other areas and such, but I want to introduce this fundamental principle. So you're familiar with this equation, we've already talked about it, and if not, I recommend the earlier videos. And so you can see how we go about calculating the adjustment. And this comes straight from our standard template report. We've calculated the adjustment to adjust the tested party to be the same ratio of accounts payable to sales as the tested party. Now, what we're going to change here, and then of course what we do down here is we adjust the operating margin by taking that adjustment from the operating profit to lower the operating profit or raise it depending upon which direction the adjustment's going, and over sales of the comparable, and that gives us a new adjusted operating margin. Now, how would this differ if we were talking about the net cost plus markup? Because there is a subtle but important difference. So to address that, I'm going to go down here to a version of this equation that's a little bit larger so that we can mark it up a bit and talk about what might be some of the ways to think about this problem. So to start off with, this is no longer going to be sales, right? This is going to be costs. And the same here for the tested party. This is also, we're no longer going to use sales, we're going to use costs. So you're saying this is all pretty straightforward. Again, since this is going to be a markup over costs, we're going to replace this with costs. And by costs, I mean both the cost of goods sold and the SG&A, the total cost, because that's what's going to be in the denominator of our net cost plus markup. Here's where things get interesting, is down here in this portion of that equation, because now when we're going to make this adjustment, we're still going to have this adjusted for the average accounts payable adjustment here, but here, yes, this is not going to be costs, or this is not going to be sales, it's going to be cost. But what cost is this going to be? We've got the original cost that's going to be on that statement. But remember, we were talking about, when we did this calculation, the need to say, how would this affect the company? So for example, I'm going to reference back to Able Company, that one in our example that had 0 accounts payable. When we make them comparable to the tested party by imputing a higher level of accounts payable, we also said, well, the way this is going to impact things is that their suppliers are going to charge them more. And that's an important point, because if the suppliers are charging them more, then their COGS are going to be higher. So here, where we've got the costs, we've also got to add in our AAP adjustment to say these costs are now going to be higher. Now, in the grand scheme of things, this is a very small number because interest rates are very low and the time value of money is not very big on the relative scale of things. But if interest rates were to rise, this could start to have an impact. I usually see the difference in a simple calculation going out to the second or third decimal point, so it's not really all that big. But this is the way we do approach this, and it's going to affect both how we look at this adjustment, and when we start looking at the adjustment for accounts receivable, you'll understand better why we're affecting the denominator. And in that case, if we're using the operating margin, it'll be explained fully in other videos. But for this point, remember, if the impact of having higher accounts payable is that people charge us more for our cost of goods sold, then our cost base is going to be different also by the adjustment to the accounts payable. Thank you and have a good day.